And thank you for joining us for our second half hour of The Factor Uncensored. Tonight, the family of civil rights leader Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is in mourning. His youngest son, Dexter King, died today after a battle with prostate cancer. He died at a home in Malibu, his home in Malibu, California, 62 years old. Tonight, Atlanta City Councilman Michael Bond reflects on King's legacy. Here's Fox's Christopher King.
First, it was just shock and disbelief.
His heart is heavy.
Very sad, and I'm very shocked by it.
The man Councilman Michael Julian Bond knew since he was a boy is now gone.
We knew that he was, had a health challenge, but obviously did not know that it was as serious as it turned out to be.
The family of Dexter King on Monday announced he passed away from prostate cancer at the age of 62.
He was just a great guy. He had a warm personality.
Bond grew up just 2 houses down from the home of Martin Luther King Jr. and Coretta Scott King. Bond and Dexter were childhood friends.
Just ripping and running in the street, literally playing football in the street on the asphalt, riding bikes, riding skateboards, playing all day.
The third child of the Kings, Dexter had enormous shoes to fill and a towering legacy to live up to here in the birth city of one of the giants of world history.
Can you imagine in your whole life everybody judging everything you do, saying, your daddy would do it this way, or your mama would do it this way. Anyone that's the child of a famous parent suffers from that. He really grappled with with the legacy that he had to carry in his life, and he succeeded ultimately by being true to himself.
Wow, here we lost one of our king.
Sympathy and support on Monday night poured in for the King family. Jonas Abraha brought his 8-year-old daughter Armana and 7-year-old son Adel to the King Center when they heard of Dexter's passing.
Okay, we gotta go pay our respect.
It feels pretty sad. He's important.
The death of Dexter King also placed a spotlight on prostate cancer. One of my next guests is in the middle of his own battle with the disease. He was told by doctors he had 18 months to live. He says this is not something you should wait on. And joining us now on The Factor Uncensored to talk about the death of Dexter King, who was 62 years old from prostate cancer, the youngest son of Dr. Martin Luther King. We have with us Dr. Donald Shaw Lee at Archpoint Pain Institute, and we have Dwayne Charleston, who's been on The Factor many times before, and he also told us on The Factor he was dealing with prostate cancer. And I think you said last March you were given 18 months to live, but you've been able to get into some trials. Tell us how difficult it has been on your life to be diagnosed with prostate cancer, to be at stage 4, and to hear about Dexter King.
Yeah, well, I'm like so many men and women who just never think that cancer can happen to them. And so I was diagnosed with, and I was scared, I was horrified. But then I quickly learned that there are ways that you can control it and you can manage it as like a chronic disease. But after about 7 years, right around 2019 or so, mine became hormone refractory, meaning it no longer cared about the treatment that I was getting for hormone therapy. And so then I had to go to things like chemotherapy or things that are radiation. And most of the things that are available to me with stage 4 prostate cancer are experimental, or they're not paid for by insurance, or you have to go overseas to get them. And so it's been very difficult. And every time my PSA rises, it had gone as high as 245, which for brothers who understand and sisters who understand prostate cancer, that's almost off the charts. It's quite high. But then it started coming down, and then I stopped responding. Then it goes back up. Now it's going back up. And, I was fortunate now to get into a clinical trial here in Houston that hopefully I'll be starting the 1st of February. It's really difficult. It's emotional. Every time you see something about cancer, every time you hear about Lloyd Austin, every time you read this thing about Dexter, King, it's a reality check that we've got to stay healthy. We've got to eat right. We've got to educate ourselves. We've got to get in clinical trials. We have to share our stories. We have to pray, whatever it is we need to do to stay healthy, but we cannot sit idly by. I was so upset. I've been so upset at myself for so many years for sitting by idly and not doing anything about my health. And now I'm in my 15th year, and it's just painful. You know, it's painful to have to wake up every morning, every waking hour, to wonder, when is this thing gonna come to an end, or is God gonna heal me, or am I gonna be healed? Will I live another year? Will I live another 20 years, 30 years? It's consumed in those thoughts. But I've managed to do pretty good, I think, in terms of my diet and working out and staying focused and trying at the same time to be an advocate for others, as people have advocated for me.
Let's bring in Dr. Danish Ali from Archpoint Pain Institute. Dr. Ali, it's hard hearing that from someone who's going through it, someone who's been given a timeline, an endpoint timeline on their life. Your thoughts about this and how important it is to get this screening done, and when should you get it done?
That's correct, Isaiah. Yeah, very, devastating to hear all this. I know you've been through a lot. I appreciate you sharing this story as well. And I hope that it, brings to the attention of men and women to get some of these screening and some of these tests done. Because as you said, it's so important to catch this early on. You have been in this journey for an extended period of time. I think partly because of the fact that you were able to catch this early on, you've been able to help decrease the number of the PSA, and also by doing all these chemos and radiation and all these things, you've been able to help take that cancer and make sure that it shrinks and make sure that it stays at bay for as long as possible. As you said, unfortunately, when it becomes stage 4, it has metastasized, it has spread to other parts of the body. And when it does that, it's often difficult to treat. And so though I understand that timeline can be quite devastating to hear, I think you definitely helped yourself significantly by everything that you've done, by eating healthy, looking into all the other options, and also being a part of these trials. And so I applaud you for all that. And the big thing that, take away is to get screening tests done early, and then also to be mindful of these things and to get treated as well, right? A lot of people go without getting treatments and without going and seeing their doctors for an extended period of time where they could have been under treatment. Specifically, some of these newer things that are out there, as there's clinical research that needs to be done on these, and it's people like yourself that volunteer and really help forward the advancements of science.
We'll have more after the break. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Factor Uncensored. We continue our discussion about prostate cancer awareness in the wake of the death of Dexter King, the son of civil rights leader Dr. Martin Luther King, the legend we all know. Now, according to Dr. Danish Ali, there are different signs anyone can look out for, but the bottom line is to take those visits to the doctor seriously.
The other thing I do want to say, as you alluded to as well, this really takes a toll on your mental health as well. And so getting checked off and checked by a mental health specialist is so important. I think, having a good folks that you can talk with, share your story to, all of these things that you're doing are so important. And I applaud you for all that.
And Dr. Ali, once again, for those who are wondering, are there any signs of it that they can look forward to if they feel like they need to go get that test, they need to go get a checkup? Are there any signs that you see in advance?
Yeah, Isaiah, this should be built into your normal blood work. You should be talking to your primary care doctor. The signs and symptoms that we're looking for are frequent urination, difficulty urinating multiple times consistently, or dribbling urine. A lot of these urinary symptoms that we see, sometimes it can even present as back pain. Sometimes it may be very discreet in its presentation. And so that's why, as we age, we should be going to our primary care doctors so they can do some of these baseline testing to make sure that we're not falling victim to some of these cancers. Again, prostate cancer, unfortunately, presents its symptoms later on, and its progression is often advanced by the time that you have any sort of symptoms. And therefore, if you have any history of it, any family history, or some of the symptoms that we've talked about, it's very important to get checked by your primary care doctor.
All right, Dwayne, thank you for sharing your story with us here on The Factor Uncensored. I'm sure you helped a lot of people out there today by sharing what you have gone through and the difficult and the hope that you still have. And Dr. Ali, of course, always good to see you here on The Factor. Thank you both tonight.